Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video I'm gonna show you how I've shot this coffee B-roll sequence and showing you some BTS footage of that shoot. Let's go! Hi guys, my name is Paul, I'm a German filmmaker and my channel is all about filmmaking, gear reviews, but also DaVinci Resolve tutorials. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. So in this video I'm gonna show you behind the scenes of this coffee B-roll sequence. Actually this was a client commercial I did at home because I've shot this during COVID pandemic and yeah, we thought it would be actually a great idea. The coffee company and I thought it would be a great idea to do it at home with the resources I had. So let's take a closer look here. In the first shot we see basically the lighting that I used. As you can see, I placed my key light at my balcony, and these shelves here I prepared and I used this small aperture lights to give little ambience in the room. And this the pocket light F7, which is from Falcon Eyes, which is a great RGB LED light. So I replaced the bulb and used an LED light, and here I used the Yongnu LED light with a blue gel. So most of these coffee B-roll sequences are shot and in a very nice kitchen, but I don't have a nice kitchen, so what I simply just did, this is actually my living room, and I placed some furniture here to make it look like a minimalist kitchen. And I only used LED lights because I knew that I will shoot a lot of sequences in super slow motion, and I don't have to mess with flicker and post. So therefore I used LED because then I won't have this problem. So in the next scene here we see one of the first shots where my girlfriend is pulling out the stuff out of the shelf. To give her a little bit of light, I used the pocket light F7 blasted into her face. Actually, I'm not too happy with how it turned out, but this scene is just visible for even a second or something like that. So therefore, I thought that's not too bad. So as you can see inside the shelf, I placed the Canon EOS R with the 16 to 35 millimeter. Used autofocus here and did a great job, and I placed it onto a Gorilla Pod. Mainly I've shot, as you can see right here, this entire sequence actually is all shot handheld, and I used my Canon 1DX Mark II to shoot these sequences. And here we have one of the other faster sequences or scenes where she opens that little gadget there. And we also made it a couple of times until it was feeling just right for me. Now we see that I prepare here. This is my Zoom H1, and I used a pair of headphones, and then I connected the Zoom H1 to my Rode Video Micro. And I did that to catch most sound on location as possible. And also I used that for doing the sound effects later in post. I also used some sound effects out of the Epidemic sound library, which I will link for you down below. But most of the sounds I did already on the shoot because I think that is much more easy to do it on location instead of searching in the internet for ages basically. So and therefore, as you can see right here, I just have the little handy recorder, and every time before I recorded, I said into the microphone about what we are going to capture, so that it's easier for me in post to identify which sound it is. So in this scene, the coffee beans are flying into the grinder or mixer, it's called. And yeah, as you can see, I did it handheld using the Canon 16 to 35 millimeter. And I've shot it in 120 frames per second, so that it looks really nice. And but I noticed during the first shot that I don't have enough light. It's too dark, so I've placed a little tripod here, used the pocket light, and to give it a little bit more illumination of that scene, which really helped. Because in that high frame rates you have like a really high shutter, which makes the image really dark. So, and also the lighting setup, as I've already said, the key light is coming here from the balcony. These small LED lights are here just for ambient, and also this pocket light is basically inside here. But in this shot, you don't see anything of the background, so therefore. So coming to the next scene here, we see basically where the coffee beans are flying onto the lens. I used a filter in front of the lens to don't damage anything. I set my focus before, that's also shot in 120 FPS. It was a whole mess to collecting back all these coffee beans, but actually this scene worked out pretty well as well. So moving on to the next shot here, I did the in-camera transition where she is grinding the coffee, and I did a punch in onto the mixer. And my intention was to fill the entire frame with the machine so that it's all black, and then I can make the same thing going out of black into the next clip, so that I have a seamless transition. That was basically my idea. Now we have here the second part of the in-camera transition going into black, and now the grinded coffee will be poured into this little thing right here, and you see I'm starting very close and then I push out, so I basically make the opposite movement what I did before to make this work, and actually that turned out pretty well. We also did a couple of times right here. Moving on to this scene, and this was actually the trickiest scene of all the scenes we've done, because we needed a lot of we needed to be in sync with our movements, that it actually works, and that didn't work all the time, so we had to do it over and over again, and all the coffee beans were flying around. And actually in the end the scene didn't turn out how I wanted to be, because I wanted to be the coffee in the middle of the frame the entire time. But we already tried it a couple of times and it didn't work so well. But in the end, I think it's pretty okay for what it is. It's basically where she's taking the coffee and making it into the mocha can or the coffee can. And here actually it worked quite well to be in sync with her. Because we tried it a couple times beforehand, before we actually started shooting, to get a feeling for that. And that worked basically pretty well. And also I made here this in-camera transition. Next scene. Here we are already inside my kitchen, and as you might see, it's not the nicest kitchen in the world. And here basically what I did for lighting, I used here the pocket light as some sort of key light, and in the background here I used some gaff tape to tape the Yongnu light under the shelf, giving us a nice blue background to make it a little bit more appealing. Yeah, and here we shot that scene where she's making on the heater. Yeah, this scene, so here you can see she is pouring the coffee into the cup already, and we also did that a couple of times because I wanted to have every effect in camera as much as possible. So we tried it a few times, it didn't work out. So I went back onto the kitchen. I heated that can again so that I have the smoke from the coffee, and we did that a couple times. And what you also see, I have here my underwater housing around my 1DX. Because I was already prepared for the next shot, which comes in a second. This is the outtakes underwater housing. It's a flexible underwater housing, which I really like and can highly recommend. I used it already in a couple of client shoots underwater, and it worked out pretty well. And now the scene where I poured the hot coffee onto my camera. What is really cool about that, it has a glass element in front of it, and yeah, that one goes onto the lens, and that one is connected to the underwater housing, and that was basically how I've shot that. Yeah, tried it a couple of times. I also shot that in 120 FPS. My girlfriend coming in with the coffee is really hot because she already took it from the kitchen. And because we started heating the coffee over and over again, actually the can went broken inside. So because there was a little rubber thing inside, which started to melt then. So yeah. But as you can see, we have the smoke right here because the coffee is so hot. And I wanted to do all of that in camera so that it looks best, not messing around with that in post. And also I used here the dual pixel autofocus. Let's talk a little bit about color grading. I also did all these colors in the scene here intentionally because I knew I wanted to have like a teal and orange look for that video. So I made these little warmer ambient lines in the yellow-orange tone, and here the other one I have this blue tone. And I also asked my girlfriend to wear something blue, which is the complementary color to her skin. So, and that it all makes sense into the scene, and I don't have too much to do basically in post, just boosting that colors around because I already had naturally all these colors there. Yeah, and that's basically how I've shot that. Then, as I've already said, I collected most of the sounds on location to make my life easier in post. And I've cut it all, or edited that inside of DaVinci Resolve, and yep, the client was really happy. And it's also a message from my side, what you can actually do while you're stuck at home, because we've shot during COVID pandemic, and the client and I said, hey, maybe let's try to do it at home, because that way we can also convey a message that your creativity blah, 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 shouldn't be limited by these regulations, and you can also do a nice little commercial inside your house. So yeah, and as you can see, the space is not too big there, and actually also not the table is just a little workaround solution, but at the very end nobody noticed it and it looks great. And yeah, I hope you guys liked that video. If you did so, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any further questions, just drop them down in the comments below. And I see you in my very next video. Cheers!